All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into a tournament for the history books.
Huh.
New Zealand's unbelievable women's T20 World Cup victory.
Unbelievable is right.
You've got match reports. We went through tons of interviews, expert analysis,
We went all out for this one.
the works. And you know what? This wasn't just another final. This was a total game changer for the sport.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. What's so interesting is that this entire tournament was just chock full of surprises right from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking huge upsets, like massive upsets, powerhouse teams dethroned.
Right.
It really makes you step back and think, who really dominates women's cricket now?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. No Australia, no England in the finals. When's that ever happened?
Never.
This is the first time in the tournament's history.
First time ever. And I think for a lot of fans who are used to seeing those teams just completely dominate, it was a serious reality check.
Yeah.
Think about it. Both India and England out early,
On.
then Australia in the semis, no less.
I know.
This wasn't some fluke. This signals a changing tide in women's cricket.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Okay, so let's talk about the team that rode that wave all the way to the trophy, took home the gold, New Zealand. Coming into this thing, they were on, get this, a 10-game losing streak.
10.
10.
Oh my
Do
God.
you even imagine the pressure?
It's almost unimaginable.
Fine.
It's
Unbelievable.
right, but I think that's what makes their story so compelling, you know? Because they owned that underdog label. I remember reading this interview pre-tournament, and Captain Sophie Devine, she says, results haven't gone our way, but we're always learning. And that really stuck with me, that focus on the process rather than just like the immediate outcome, you know?
Totally.
That's got to be key to understanding their resilience, their ability to come back from, 10 losses in a row.
Yep. They didn't just learn, though. They strategized. Like, you would not believe the level of strategy. That first match against India, I mean, they had a game plan, and they executed it perfectly.
I mean,
Using your feet against India's pace attack. That's bold.
it's so bold, but it was smart. And this goes back to the whole understanding the process thing, right? They had clearly identified a weakness in India's bowling. Specifically, they were targeting Pooja Vastrikar.
Interesting.
In those death overs, they were like, we know what we're doing. We're going to exploit this. And they did. They forced her to bowl to their strengths, and it paid off big time. That win, it wasn't just about skill at that point. It was a statement. New Zealand was there to fight.
I love that. And you saw that strategic depth throughout the entire tournament. I was really impressed with their chase against Sri Lanka.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't reckless hitting. It was
That
calculated.
is like, we got this.
Yeah.
Total pros.
Total pros.
They were not chasing net run rate. And by the way, just a quick aside for our listeners.
Yes, please explain that.
Net run rate is basically how a team's run rate compares to their opponents. So it's a really crucial factor if there's ever a tiebreaker situation.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But so yeah, they didn't care about that. New Zealand, they focused on just winning each moment. They didn't get ahead of themselves.
Love that. Stay present.
Exactly. It was like a master class in staying present and executing the plan.
I love it. And speaking of execution, can we just talk about Amelia Kerr for a minute?
Oh my God, yes.
Because she was on fire this whole tournament. Most wickets in a single World Cup. I mean, that's got to be something really special.
It's phenomenal. And especially when you consider, the bigger picture. Kerr stepped back from international cricket in 2021 to focus on her mental health, which is so important.
Right.
So to come back from that, lead your team to a World Cup victory and achieve a record like that, that's incredible. It just speaks volumes about her, not just her talent as an athlete, but also her resilience,
So strong.
her mental strength. And that's something that I think often gets overlooked.
It really is incredible.
It is.
And, it takes a lot of courage to do something like that.
Yeah.
To be like, I need to step away and prioritize her well-being and then come back even stronger. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's inspiring.
Totally. And it's a powerful message for anybody, right? I mean, not just athletes, anybody.
For sure. Okay, but we can't get too sidetracked because we have to talk about the other half of this incredible final. We have to talk about South Africa. Second place last year. Then they knock out Australia in the semis this year.
I know.
I mean, they were this close.
They were so close. And you know what? Their story is amazing, too.
Right.
Just the amount of growth that they have shown since that loss against Australia in the last World Cup final.
Heartbreaking.
I know, it was heartbreaking. But they came back so strong.
They did.
You've got Laura Woolvart leading the charge and Marizanne Kapp just like powerhouse. Right?
Incredible.
They were such a force to be reckoned with this tournament.
And you know what I thought was really interesting, especially in this day and age, was the whole Anneke Bosch situation.
Oh, yeah.
She was getting a lot of criticism,
Yeah, yeah.
but the team, they had her back,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
And she came back, and she delivered this, like, match-winning performance against Australia in the semis.
It was amazing.
Amazing.
And I think, when you think about what makes a team really successful, it's that belief, right? That trust. You've got to trust your players. Even when you've got all that outside pressure, all that noise,
Right.
shutting that out and being like, no, we believe in you. That's so crucial. And I think that really contributed to their success.
Yeah, it's more than just what happens on the field.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so we have got these two powerhouses, both with their own stories, both like overcoming challenges, and they're about to go head-to-head in this final. New Zealand wins the toss. They choose to bat. What was the energy like at the start of this match?
Oh, man, electric.
Really?
You could just feel the tension. But New Zealand, they came out swinging. I know. I mean, to play with that level of confidence, especially against a bowling attack as strong as South Africa's,
Right.
it was almost like a little bit shocking.
Wow.
I mean, take Georgia Plimmer, for example.
Okay.
She goes after Marison Cap, right? One of the best bowlers in the world, right? From the first over.
Bold.
It's so bold.
Right.
It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
And it wasn't just reckless hitting either.
Right.
Remember how she was charging down the wicket, disrupting Cap's whole rhythm?
Yeah.
That was deliberate.
Really? So smart.
It was so smart because, see, she understood that to really unsettle a bowler like Cap, you can't just like stand there and let her, dictate the terms. You got to take the initiative. And using your feet like that, it wasn't just about trying to hit boundaries or anything. It was almost like trying to get in her head a little bit,
Interesting.
Disrupt her line, make her doubt herself, even just for a split second.
Wow.
And it totally worked.
That's amazing. You could just feel like the energy shifting. Like New Zealand was just playing fearless cricket.
They were on fire.
Amazing.
And what's even crazier, I mean, think about it. Georgia Plimmer, how old is she?
I have no idea.
20. She's 20 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Playing in a World Cup final? Like, come on.
That's unbelievable.
Talk about handling pressure.
That's incredible.
It really is.
It's interesting, though, because when she got out, I think she's caught for 9 runs.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, oh no, here comes the collapse.
Right.
Because that happens sometimes.
Totally.
But then Amelia Kerr comes in, and wow, it was like she was picking up right where Georgia left off.
Seamless. Yeah. Incredible.
I know. That first boundary that she hit off of Shabnam Ismail,
Yeah.
one of the best. It was like a statement.
Really?
It was like she was saying, we are not backing down. And I think that's the thing about this New Zealand team around there.
What's that?
Different players stepped up at different times.
Oh, interesting. Nobody had to carry the whole team on their back.
Right. Because let's not forget about Susie Bates.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe she was a little bit overshadowed by Amelia Kerr's performance in this tournament.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But you can't discount her experience, especially in that middle overs period. That was clutch.
Absolutely. Bates played such a smart innings.
Okay.
She wasn't trying to hit every ball for 6, you know what I mean?
Right.
She was playing for the team, rotating the strike, keeping that scoreboard ticking over.
Keeping that momentum going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that allowed Kerr to do her thing at the other end.
So smart. Okay, so they build this partnership. Things are looking really good for New Zealand, but then Bates gets out. Bowled by Nonkululeko Malaba. Did that feel like a turning point at all?
Definitely, yeah. I think everybody kind of took a breath in that moment. It was a much-needed breakthrough for South Africa, for sure. And then, literally, just 6 runs later, Sophie Devine's dismissed. LBW, right?
Brutal.
I know, massive moment. Suddenly, New Zealand's reeling a little bit.
Right.
And you have to imagine the pressure is on.
Yeah. I mean, Devine, I felt like she was a little bit off her game that day.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine?
I can't even imagine.
As a captain, World Cup final.
All the expectations on your shoulders.
That's pressure.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. Nadine de Klerk bowled an incredible delivery to dismiss Devine.
She did.
And then South Africa, they made a really gutsy decision to review that LBW decision.
That was a big moment.
It was huge.
It-
And it was the right call. It was
Yep.
definitely a turning point.
Yeah. And that brought Brooke Halliday to the crease.
Right.
Her innings was so interesting to watch because she didn't come in trying to be a hero either.
Right.
She had a very specific job to do.
Exactly. And I think that's what was so impressive about her innings. It was like textbook.
Really?
Controlled aggression. She came in, she assessed the situation, she knew that they needed to build a partnership, and she played that role perfectly. That's so interesting. So smart. It was almost like she lulled South Africa into this false sense of security with all those early singles. And then, bam,
Yeah.
unleashes a few, like, really powerful shots when they totally didn't expect it.
Totally. That's exactly what made it so effective. She wasn't just going out there swinging blindly, you know.
Right.
She understood the pace of the wicket, how the ball was behaving, the strengths and weaknesses of the bowlers she was facing.
Wow.
She completely adapted her game.
Wow.
And that, to me, is like the sign of a truly, truly intelligent cricketer.
Wow. And that partnership with Kerr and Halliday, that ended up being, I mean, really the game changer for New Zealand. Like a 57-run stand basically took the game away from South Africa.
Took it away. They took calculated risks, punished any loose bowling that they saw, and just totally frustrated the South African bowler.
Frustrating, I bet.
I know. And I think from that point on, you could just feel the momentum shifting back in New Zealand's favor, and they never really looked back. And you know what I think really sealed the deal for New Zealand?
Yeah.
The last couple overs of their innings, South Africa. I thought they were going to reel them back in, you know,
Yeah.
getting kind of close. But
Close.
then Matty Green comes in and just smashes these 2 sixes
I know.
in the 19th over.
Talk about a momentum killer. I mean, you could just see it on South Africa's faces. They were deflated. They worked so hard to claw their way back into it. And then those sixes,
Just like that.
it was over.
Yeah.
And honestly, their fielding hadn't been great all game.
Right.
I don't know what was going on.
Interesting. So New Zealand ends up with a very respectable 158 for 5.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, not an easy chase in a World Cup final.
No, not at all.
But South Africa, they'd chased down bigger scores before in this tournament. Did you get the feeling that they could pull this off?
Honestly, it was like 50-50 at that point.
Really?
I mean, they certainly had the batting firepower, no question.
Yeah.
But the pressure of a World Cup final,
Intense.
especially after last year,
Yeah.
it's a different beast, you know?
Right.
And you could just tell New Zealand, they had that momentum, that belief. They knew they could win.
They could taste it.
They could taste it.
So South Africa's chase starts off so well.
Yes.
Laura Woolford, she was on fire.
Just amazing.
Every time she hit a boundary, the crowd went wild.
Yeah.
You could just tell she was carrying the weight of everyone's expectations.
She wanted it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted this so bad.
She was incredible. Just the way that she paced her innings, picked her moments to attack. I mean, she knew that New Zealand, they weren't going to give her anything.
Right.
So she had to create her own opportunities, and she did, time after time, you know. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
New Zealand's bowlers, they did not panic.
Didn't flinch.
Not even for a second.
I mean, Rosemary Mayer and Leah Tahuhu, incredible. So good. They just stuck to the plan. They bowled with so much discipline. I was really impressed. Especially the way that they used the slower ball.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially on that pitch. The ball was definitely gripping a little bit, and those slower balls were just
Deadly.
unhittable. It messed with their timing, forced them to make mistakes, and then on top of that, New Zealand's fielding.
Spot on.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, they were taking every catch, putting the pressure on with every single ball.
Yeah, you're right. Their fielding was great throughout the tournament. I feel like that was maybe something that was a little bit
Underrated.
underrated, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, the turning point, I felt it in my gut. When Tasman Brits got out, caught by Matty Green, 7th over, 17 runs.
Tough break.
I know, and she was looking so dangerous up to that point.
I know. I thought she was going to be the one. She and Wolfhard, they just feed off each other, you know?
Yeah.
They have this energy. But once Brits was gone, you could just feel it. That pressure on Wolfhard, it intensified.
And then it happened. Wolfhard, caught by Susie Bates off of Amelia Kerr's bowling for 33 runs. I mean, of a valiant effort, but not enough. That felt like it right there.
It was heartbreaking. I mean, even going into this, knowing the outcome,
Yeah.
to see her, I mean, she had carried that team on her back that whole tournament.
She did.
You could tell how much this meant to her. But that's cricket, right? One wicket can change the entire game.
1 wicket, 1 catch, 1 everything.
Yeah.
And after that, it was like South Africa. They just couldn't recover. They kept losing wickets. The required run rate kept climbing. It just slipped away.
They really needed someone to step up, you know, to play that heroic innings, pull off a miracle.
Right.
But it wasn't their day.
It wasn't in the card.
New Zealand's bowlers were they were too good, too focused, too disciplined. They learned from their mistakes.
Hungry.
Oh, yeah. They wanted this.
What can you even say about Amelia Kerr at this point? 3 for 24 in the final. Extends her record for the most wickets in a single World Cup. Are you kidding me?
I mean, what a performance.
Incredible.
The whole tournament, she was phenomenal. But honestly, beyond the stats, it's her leadership. It's her maturity, her ability to stay calm under that kind of pressure. That's what sets her apart.
It wasn't a one-woman show, though.
No, absolutely.
You had Eden Carson, you had Rosemary Mayer, all of New Zealand's bowlers. I mean, they all contributed.
100%. And that's what makes this victory so impressive.
Right.
It truly was a team effort. Everyone came together, they supported each other, they played for each other, and in the end, they lifted that trophy together.
Amazing. Final score, 126-9, a 32-run victory for New Zealand, their very first T20 World Cup title.
Amazing. And you know what we can't forget? Sinalo Jafta.
Oh, right.
South Africa's wicketkeeper. Talk about inspiring, her story, everything she's overcome, her struggles, and then to come back and play on a world stage like that.
Amazing.
Amazing. It goes way beyond sports, you know. It reminds you that everyone's fighting their own battles, facing their own challenges, and to see someone like her with that kind of strength, that resilience,
Yeah.
it gives you hope.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it's also important to point out, I mean, this World Cup final
Yeah.
broke attendance records.
Wow.
People are finally paying attention to women's cricket.
Finally.
They're finally recognizing the athleticism, the skill, the competitive spirit. I mean, it's about time.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think equal prize money is huge.
Huge. It's only going to get bigger and better from here.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, right? This World Cup was about so much more than just cricket. It was about these women defying expectations,
Yeah.
rewriting the narrative.
Inspiring the next generation.
Exactly. And what stories? I mean, New Zealand's win, South Africa's incredible journey, Sinalo Jafta's courage. This tournament had it all.
It really did.
And you know what makes me wonder? What other amazing underdog stories are out there?
Oh, I'm sure there are tons.
I know, just waiting to be told. In sports and life, who knows?
Exactly.
But one thing is for sure,
Mm.
the future of women's cricket is looking pretty bright. And after a tournament like this, I can't wait to see what incredible feats these athletes accomplish next.
Me neither.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.